This is Castle of Castle Plays, and we're here to take a look at Unreal Tournament 4. Now, I'm just going to be taking a look at the game in its current state and kind of showing a lot of different things and just talking about general opinions. It's way too early to actually form any full opinions of the game at this point. So let's load it up right now. Okay, so what we have is something that makes me extremely happy, and a lot of you younger first-person shooter fans may not even know about this. The original Unreal Tournament had a okay, wait, there's a bug. Let me get around this bug. I have to hit Control, Delete, and then escape out. Now I got a mouse. Okay, so we had literally a desktop where you can like put your icons of all of your favorite mods and game modes and all that stuff. You would literally like be able to just have icons. And then there was like a version of Tetris, like you could play Tetris in Unreal Tournament. So all that stuff, like this right here, it looks like it's the groundwork towards actually going back to that. And that makes me extremely happy because it's an extremely PC thing to have. And it's gotta be one of the best user interfaces that ever existed in a fucking first-person shooter. Ever! A long fucking time ago, and here it is again. This is the groundwork towards going in that direction. Fucking awesome. With any user interface, you know, you go up to the time, file, create local game. Let's see, here's the level, the game mode, some of the basic rules. I'm gonna load up DM Circuit.
5, 4, 3, 2,
DM Circuit looks to be
1.
the same level that there was a fully arted out section, or something that was fairly arted out screenshot that got a lot of attention, and it was from, it looks like to be about this angle right here, and it looks like a bit has changed in the level gameplay wise since then, but just knowing how that screenshot looked and the way this area is now, it's pretty interesting. Although there are some strange things going on that that kind of stick out. Like for example, I don't know what most people's stances are on having a weapon sitting directly in. I guess in some ways it makes sense. In some ways, it's I guess sort of like, oh, everyone's always just gonna grab this weapon anyway. It's not really a choice. I'm always sort of the camp that everything that you do in the game should be a decision, and if you decide to grab the weapon or if you decide not to grab the weapon, it's really up to you. By no means is it a big deal. I can definitely see this level being really fun to play. It'll take some getting used to, I imagine. Sniper rifle, kind of have somebody camp up here. Now the sniper rifles are a lot different in this because we've been trained with a standard, you know, scoping sniper rifle like this. Is that this thing is really a railgun. It's not technically a sniper rifle, but it ends up being both. In most shooters these days, you have a cone that widens for a realistic type of gun like this, and the ability to zoom in and then stand still or go prone or crouch to gain greater accuracy is a big part of those games. Whereas this thing is just like a no scope hell. I'm gonna fucking no scope everybody. Yeah. Yeah. In Team Fortress 2, for example, you can't even fire the damn thing without it off the hip. You can't fire off the hip at all. But in this game, you know, that's so a lot of the thoughts, a lot of the things that come to mind when I think about UT4 right now is how much the industry has changed over the years, and how much UT4 is sort of holding on to a lot of those old things, which is probably just fine. But there are some things to keep in mind. For example, the realistic first-person shooters that we're familiar with, from like where we were used to movement speeds going slower and slower, because it almost seems like ever since Quake 1, it went from Doom to Quake, every character went slower. Quake 2, character went slower. Quake 3, the character sped up a little bit, but still, was a little bit. And then the movement speed overall slowed down a lot as soon as Counter-Strike took hold, and the realistic first-person shooters, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, and games like that actually slowed movement speed down to a point where even games that it didn't make sense to have slow movement speed, like Serious Sam, the guy is running around in these gigantic open spaces with slow movement speed. But something really weird has happened in recent times, literally within practically the last couple of years, is that we've seen a total uh, we've come full circle. And now all of a sudden games with realistic movement speed are now jumping around and being even more mobile than you would ever expect from even the Quake 1 guy. Titanfall, for example. Titanfall, you're fucking jumping off of rooftops, your character is completely mobilized at all fucking times. So, uh, uh, um, we're seeing the same thing with Call of Duty as far as Call of Duty Advanced. That guy, the guy in Call of Duty Advanced would wipe the floor with the Quake 1 guy. He's jumping up over the thing. He could jump higher. He's got double jumping. He's got all this wall running shit going on. And it's the same thing with Titanfall as well. In fact, you could probably take the Call of Duty Advanced guy and pit him right up against the Titanfall guy, and it would be a completely even fight. They're literally almost pulling right from each other. Now it's just down to who has the most dirty tricks, all while retaining the realistic weapons. So Unreal Tournament right now sits in a kind of a weird place, right? This isn't a bad thing, but one of the main things is that in a game like this, you can run in all directions equally. Something that has been consistent with character actually breathes heavy. Something that's consistent with the more realistic games is that running backwards actually slows you down. And then you have a sprint button where your character goes into a faster movement. But in this, you're kind of you still have all of that movement you're pretty much the Quake guy right now. So we have some extra movement capabilities, but again, the dodging and things of that nature, I mean, it's fine for an arena shooter. It's fine, although to consider it to be this like edgy new movement mechanic is kind of amusing to think about it like that. If there's a Titanfall, in which case I can pretty much jump out of the roof of this map without even putting, I just off that wall, I'm floating above the level somewhere. So that is one weird thing, and I'm pretty sure the Call of Duty Advanced guy can easily jump up above this as well. So I wonder how Unreal Tournament's gonna fare again, when compared to those games. Times have changed, that's for sure. Just in terms of a pure arena shooter, one of the other things that comes to mind is that when we think of a 1 versus 1, typically what I think about, because I like to think of, the smallest possible conflict as a way to kind of generally think about the gameplay as a whole. So if 1 versus 1 is the smallest one that you can think of, all the others, I find those harder to balance. If you balance 1 versus 1, then 8 versus 8, 4 versus 4 tend to be equally as balanced. But the thing is that in a 1 versus 1 arena, all of the guns in Unreal Tournament, this is something that's been true about Unreal Tournament for a long time. In Quake, there's a growth. You have the nail gun, the super nail gun, rocket launcher, the grenade launcher, right? And they're like a tool belt, and you switch between these guns quickly. But Unreal Tournament sort of goes more in the direction where the weapon switching is a little bit slower. It's pretty fast in this right now. The weapons aren't so much a tool belt as the weapon itself is in everything. it's more like I choose the link gun because I prefer to use that weapon. Now there are some cases where you want a hit scan weapon. You can get around and you can get a hit scan weapon, and that's usually your best way to kind of poke an enemy who's at a certain distance and stuff like that. So the weapons are, it does make sense to be able to switch between the weapons, but in the case of Unreal Tournament, it's less important. Every weapon in Quake is an archetype that fits within that specific spectrum. Whereas in Unreal Tournament, all of the weapons are equally as powerful, and all of them kill somebody equally as well, and pretty much almost every situation. So in terms of 1 versus 1 or in terms of team versus team, uh, it's really almost a preference, which has always been a kind of a weirder thing about series play in Unreal Tournament. I don't think in any way really it's going to detract too much from the competitiveness of the gameplay and everything like that, but it is something to keep in mind, is that there isn't really power growth between which weapon. The flat cannon isn't innately less powerful than the rocket launcher. Of course, then you're also given base weapon tools. I like the idea of having the dual enforcer. I like having the idea of having the jackhammer. The jackhammer was always a really cool weapon, and I'm glad to see this, which is basically Pyro's air blaster. I see that being a lot easier to use.
5 minutes remain.
And so obviously I've been talking, but overall, it's already in a pretty good state. It's basically where Unreal UT3 stood. This has also been something that's really strange constant about Unreal Tournament, is that all of the guns are usually located next to multiple packs of ammo. Which doesn't make sense to me. Why not just make the weapon and give you all the ammo? Right. Unless, you know, the weapon doesn't come back again right away, or its weapons stay turned. That's usually the reason why, I guess. There's so many different ways to go about solving all these problems. Things that just never were revisited because, well, the arena shooter has seen a sharp decline. And it isn't just because nobody likes playing arena shooters. It's not true. It's just because people normally have been the ones responsible to actually keep these games going, have given up on them. And this right here is not only an opportunity for arena shooters to actually show some advancement again. It's the game industry is getting a chance to see this genre not completely ignored like it has been all these years. This whole entire design philosophy that has been spawned due to the UE4 engine is a almost a paradigm shift on the entire game industry as a whole. It blows my mind. It's fucking phenomenal. Not only is the engine abso-fucking-lutely amazing, top notch, everybody should be using it, everybody should be learning it right fucking now, but
5
we're
minutes
actually getting to
remain.
see an arena shooter in the spotlight, getting attention that it actually deserves based on an old IP that was a groundbreaking success of its time. It's fucking amazing. This is a big deal. Okay, so even my Redeemer. Whoa. I'd love to see like a shockwave come over. Okay, so in closing, I've gotten the editing tools up and running, and here's the test map that UT4 comes with. I really wish that maybe there was a way to get away from this jitteriness when I'm recording footage with an engine. Can anyone offer some advice on this? Because I'm going to be working a lot in this environment, and I want to try and optimize. It's a little distracting when everything gets so. You probably can't even see it in the video, but when I'm moving around and stuff like that, I end up seeing all kinds of wackiness. Anyway, I want to keep this fairly short. Um, so here are all the pickups. The only thing that's missing in this area right now is a Redeemer, which is the new. Uh, I managed to get my uh, one-on-one level uh, into the UT4 engine without too many problems. Um, I have to do some like minor work and things of that nature, like the lifts and stuff like that. I think are now using a generic entity that I should probably plug in and get that fully functional. Otherwise, I'd already done an initial item and weapon placement, and a little bit more work is needed to kind of flesh out the visuals of the level as far as what's going on up at the top. But otherwise, the map's already in a pretty good state. However, my plans are now to begin working on new maps. Um, I want to work on a couple of new levels at least, and one of them be something that I'm gonna submit to the White Box Challenge on MapCore. So I'll be getting all kinds of videos and stuff like that. Don't worry, I have not forgot about my Doom 2 level. I've just been getting so damn distracted, and UE4 honestly is a pretty huge distraction for me. I wanted to try and use the triplanar material, but actually find that the triplanar material is actually harder to look at when compared to lighting, having some kind of base lighting. And I know that the UE4 guys at Epic mentioned that putting lighting into the level can slow you down, but to me personally, I just feel like it's worth having at least a base lighting pass on your block mesh rather than resorting to the triplanar material, which removes the base lighting. I'd rather have the triplanar material with lighting personally. I just like the idea of having a triplanar material in general, but maybe I'll make variation of the material. Of course, when I do that, I see this. Oh. You need to go to college to learn how to fucking make a material in this tech. This was true in UE3. I guess it's only going to continue to get more true in UE4, and this is just getting started. Like, what's it gonna be like 2 years from now after the tech's been out for a little while? We're gonna like, well, anyway, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for actual Castle Does episodes of me actually building stuff in the tech. White box challenge.